Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue dans la super belle circonscription de Ottawa-Vanier que je représente. Welcome everyone in Ottawa-Vanier, my beautiful riding. I know you can't tell from the background, but we're here at the Rideau Sports Center, a public venue for everyone to enjoy, and we're right next to the Ottawa River. So we're here to talk about health this morning. Est-ce qu'on est surpris qu'on parle de santé encore ce matin? Évidemment, c'est une priorité pour le Parti libéral de l'Ontario. And I'm going to give it away to Dr. Alykhan Abdulla to talk more about it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ms. Collard. My name is Dr. Ali Abdulla. I'm a family doctor. I've been here for 30 years. Oh, I thought there was questions. I'm sorry. I just wanted to share with you a little bit about some of the struggles that we have day in, day out. Being a family doctor for 30 years, I've seen so many changes in the healthcare system. And more importantly, I want to talk about how patients are seen in the office. And when I talk about that, we usually had the ability to look after people with a small number of issues. Because a lot of the issues that came into the office 30 years ago when I started as family doctor, those issues were things that we could move to a diagnostic imaging. We can move them to a specialist. We can get them seen in hospital if it was appropriate or a surgical procedure. But now what has happened is the healthcare system is slowly eroded over time. And that erosion really is due to the fact that there are obstacles in the way. There's underfunding. There's not enough family doctors that I'll talk about in a moment. And there's the inability for people to access care in a timely way. And those excuses make it that much harder. So when they come to the family doctor's office, they don't have one problem. They have two problems, or three problems, or five problems. And then they have a form to fill out, and then they have a healthcare issue, and then they're struggling with all kinds of psychological issues with work or family or things like that. And those things are critical and changes the way that in family medicine we're able to look after people. And so what that does is it creates an incredible amount of burden day in, day out for family doctors. And so that means less patients are seen on a daily basis. And when less patients are seen, it creates a sense of overwhelming difficulty, of trauma, that you're not able to look after people in a timely way, in the way that we were trained to be doctors. And so that means I can't do my job as efficiently as I could. And so many of my colleagues are choosing not to do family medicine. Many of my colleagues are choosing not to even be doctors after they have trained because they're getting burnt out. Then you add the idea of administrative work. So every day I do the work of seeing patients clinically, but then I also have to do the paperwork, my night job that I take after the fact. And finally, it's the issue that there's not enough family doctors. And we talked about some of the reasons behind that, but there's a serious, critical impact of not having enough family doctors. 120,000 patients, people that live in the city of Ottawa do not have a family doctor. And so they're left searching for care. And they're doing virtual care, which is inappropriate care. They're going to emergency departments that are filled for hours on end waiting for people to do the best that they possibly can. And they can't get the service that they need. And so we must look towards change, and we must look towards improvement. I'll take questions now. After. So I would like to introduce Bonnie Crombie.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Abdulla. And first, let me thank all our healthcare heroes who are on the front lines, treating patients, treating all of us and our children when we get sick. I'm sorry about that ad. I know it's a punch in the gut, quite frankly, but it is the stark reality of what is happening in our healthcare system today. Across Ontario, people are telling me that they're afraid to get sick. Not afraid that they're going to get great health care when they receive it, but they know that our hospitals are overflowing and that they're underfunded, and the wait times are enormous. All the Ottawa area hospitals need to be expanded and overdeveloped. Last time I was in town, I toured CHEO, and the wait time was 22 hours, if you can believe it. And for me, that's unacceptable, especially to treat our children. Yesterday, Doug Ford blamed patients for the crowding in our ERs. That's right. He said that too many of you are using the ER. Well, Doug, I don't know what choice people have. You have deliberately underfunded our healthcare system, and no one has a family doctor. You've left them no other choice. 2.5 million people don't have access to a family doctor across Ontario. So they have no choice but to go to the ER. And it's not their fault, Doug. It's yours. So we intend to fix the system. We're going to invest in our healthcare system, and we're going to ensure that everyone has a family doctor within the next 4 years. That's our pledge as Ontario Liberals. It's not too late. There are 4 days left in this election, and there's a lot of ground to be gained. Certainly Ontario Liberals have a lot of momentum. We have the wind in our sails, and people are coming to understand that if they want a family doctor, they have to change the government. And to change the government, they need to vote for Ontario Liberals. So if you voted for another party in the past and you want a family doctor, loan us your vote this time. Vote Ontario Liberal, and we will get it done. You will have a family doctor, and we'll reduce the wait times in our local hospitals because we care, and we care about you. Thank you, and now I'm happy to take your questions.
Thanks so much. We'll take questions from the floor first. Please state your name and outlet. One question, one follow-up. And for folks on the line, please raise your hand, and we'll get to you right after.
Hi there, Alessia Pasifini from the Canadian Press. Can you explain why you waited several days to drop your Oshawa candidate? And do you think that his comments will hurt your party's chances, in Brampton?
So that individual's comments do not reflect my values or the values of the Ontario Liberal Party, and were completely unacceptable. He issued a statement, but there was still a bubbling of issues, so we re-interviewed him and decided the best thing to do was to suspend his campaign. I think we've made the right decision, and that's it.
And the PCs have dug up social media posts from a few of your candidates who didn't appear to support you during the leadership race. What do you make of those posts, and have you reached out to the candidates about them?
Those candidates all want to defeat Doug Ford and ensure that everyone in Ontario has a family doctor. They're business and community leaders in their communities, notwithstanding who they may have supported during the leadership. We're all one big family now.
Hi, Bonnie. Davis Legree with iPolitics. We wrote a story over the weekend, and this is kind of a follow-up to my colleague's question. We spoke to several Liberals who suggested that your team's poor vetting was the result of these candidate controversies we've seen over the last few weeks. As you mentioned, you suspended the campaign of one candidate, and the PCs have unearthed several questionable comments from other candidates, including not too far from here. How can Ontarians trust your slate of candidates when your team won't do the full due diligence necessary to vet them?
Well, here we have a snap election in the shortest and the coldest month of the year, and obviously the PCs are well prepared for this undertaking, and even notwithstanding, they have a majority government and could have been governing until June of 2026. So I'm very proud of our slate of candidates. They're representative of their communities. They're all strong business and community leaders right across this province. Thank you.
And on a different note, with 3 days left until the election, polling suggests that Ford and the PCs are overwhelming favorites to get re-elected. If the Liberals fail to regain official party status, will you stay on as leader through the election?
Oh boy. Look, we have 4 days to go and the wind in our sails and a lot of momentum. I'm not conceding anything. We're here to win, and I'm feeling really good about this race. I think the message is resonating with Ontarians. If you want a family doctor, you have to vote for Ontario Liberals. If you want to change the government, because of the failures of the Ford government, you have to vote Ontario Liberal. So that's our message on February 27th. If you want to change the government and be sure that you have a family doctor and lower wait times in your hospitals, please vote Ontario Liberals. You may have voted for another party in the past, but now is your opportunity for change. Vote Ontario Liberals.
Hello, Charles with Le Droit.
Bonjour.
Not too long ago, the Assemblée de la Francophonie sent a survey to the leaders of the parties or the parties, and your party only answered, first of all, in English. When it was noted to you, then you sent bilingual answers.
Yeah.
Why wasn't it in French and English or in French in the beginning?
Mais oui, je suis très désolée. Nous avons fourni une réponse dans les deux langues, mais c'était trop tard. I want to say that la communauté francophone est le cœur de l'identité ontarienne. So this was very regrettable and very unfortunate. There was a problem with the French translation and it came a little bit later. And we regret that this has happened and apologize profusely. Très désolé. And unfortunately, we have responded now.
And I see your sign is only in English today in Ottawa Vanier, which is a pretty big Francophone riding.
Our apologies again. We're just, this is a banner that we're using right across the province, so our apologies that it wasn't translated.
Thank you.
Hi, Fatoumata, Radio-Canada. So we have parents here in Ottawa who complain that their children go to a dilapidated school, in Ottawa Center, and that it takes a long time to get repaired. The school is dilapidated. What do you plan to do about case like this?
Yes, and I assume you mean a French language school, and let me say that we have made a number of commitments to the Franco-Ontarian community. First of all, we will reinstate the French language commissioner. I think that's vitally important, and we are going to expand and invest in French language education right across the province, particularly here in Eastern Ontario, Northern Ontario as well, and as well guarantee access to healthcare in French language, and hire more doctors, more nurses, more PSWs, who speak French, the French language.
But how? What's your plan? How?
Oh, well, we have a plan which invests in recruiting more doctors, nurses, PSWs right across the province. We have a $3 billion plan to ensure that everyone has access in their language, whether in English or in French, and we'll be certain to expand French language education in the north and here in the in Ontario's Eastern Ontario, so that everyone has access to healthcare and education in their language of choice.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Thank you. That now concludes our press conference.
Thank you all for joining us today. Good.